7 of the college football picks. First, want to start by saying congratulations to Georgia. 4 straight wins after starting off 0-2. Again, those 2 wins coming to at the time top 12 teams when they faced them, beating Tennessee and Knoxville, something that they haven't been able to do. Very strong performance by Isaiah Crowell, again hitting his stride. This week they have Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, a much improved team, but again, I don't think they're there with Georgia quite yet. Now, all they really have left on their schedule, of course, the meeting with Florida, Auburn a little better than most people expected coming into this year, and of course Georgia Tech, a really good team so far this year. So that's the really tough games remaining. But for the 10 games in Pick'em this week, a really tough week. This is the toughest week by far. This game that I have as a 10 confidence could easily be a 1. Now, with the 10, I'm going with Virginia Tech on the road over Wake Forest. Virginia Tech, Logan Thomas had his breakout game, got in the national spotlight. Everybody knows who he is now. Very efficient game, very explosive game. Wake Forest coming off that upset against Florida State. Hey, it happens. Florida State riddled with injuries, not as good as many people thought coming into the year, and it was just an upset. I think Virginia Tech, even though it is an ACC game, ACC, I hate picking those games. They're very unpredictable, one of the most inconsistent conferences in the nation. But I'm going with Virginia Tech on the road with the 10. Now my 9 pick, Oklahoma State over Texas. I took a gamble last week, took Texas only with a 1 over Oklahoma. They couldn't clearly experience outweighed the young talent of Texas. I think that's going to happen here again with Blackman and Whedon. Oklahoma State has the firepower to put even more points up than Oklahoma did against Texas. Granted, Texas committed a lot of turnovers. Oklahoma converted all those into points. But I like the tandem of Whedon and Blackman. Going to be too much. Again, the attack seems to be more balanced with the run this year. And I think the defense can do enough to slow down Texas to allow. It won't be as bad as a beating as Oklahoma put on them. But I like Oklahoma State on the road. Now my 7 pick, my 8 pick, Illinois over Ohio State at home. Now, Ohio State, a lot of people thought it looked like they were going to pull off the upset in Nebraska last week, but they let Nebraska hang around. Braxton Miller showed the type of player he can be, but they weren't able to hang on. Illinois, a much improved team, probably the most athletic team in the Big Ten, with Ford at running back, Shieldhouse, very athletic at quarterback. I think they get it done, particularly on the ground, pounding it, and if Ohio State forces them to pass, I think Shieldhouse can get it done. Illinois, a very, like I said, athletic team, and I think they'll hold Ohio State in check. Now my 7 pick is the Michigan Wolverines on the road over Michigan State. Now Michigan has proven to be just as strong offensively as they were last year in that West Coast scheme, or that's what it is going into the year, but they've let Denard Robinson do his thing running the ball. They realize that's what he's the best at. He still does turn the ball over, commits errant passes, but he makes up for it in the next possession, like I said, with his legs. Now Michigan State is going to be a tough test on defense. They bring blitzes from all over the place. They're tough against the run. But I like Michigan riding their hot streak to knock off their rival on the road. Now, the 6th pick, North Carolina at home over Miami. Miami looked good last week, like I said, against Virginia Tech. Gave up a lot of big plays. North Carolina is going to rely on their defense. They've got a very good defense to hold Lamar Miller in check. If you can contain Lamar Miller, he's the driving force with Miami. Everything rides off him and his success. But, yeah, I like North Carolina at home. Now my 5 pick, South Carolina and Mississippi State. I almost want to take Mississippi State at home, but I think South Carolina, even on the road, With Connor Shaw at quarterback, they got rid of Steven Garcia, and obviously, no turnovers. That's what kills a team. It was killing South Carolina. Steven Garcia committing all those turnovers in close games. Um, but South Carolina, I like it on the road with Connor Shaw kind of revamping, giving new life to that offense, um, sparking Alshon Jeffrey, taking some of the pressure off of Marcus Lattimore in the backfield. Teams focusing on him. So it should help the offense all the way around. The immense amount of talent on defense, Jadeveon Clowney making plays on the edge. I like South Carolina on the road. Now my 4 pick, Texas A&M at home over Baylor. It has been a long time since Texas A&M has lost to Baylor in College Station. Robert Griffin has just turned that program completely around. The most efficient quarterback in college football right now. But the Aggies at home, always tough. Now, A&M has blown some leads as of late. If they gain a lead on this Baylor team, Baylor's more than capable of coming back. So they're going to have to build that lead with the balanced run attack and pass attack. Tannehill not turning the ball over, beating them on the outside on the move, and running the ball occasionally. But I like A&M at home over Baylor. Now my 3 pick probably can be a little bit higher than 3. Auburn at home over Florida. Florida, of course, without they have that inexperience at quarterback now with Brantley's injury. Auburn going to stick with Barrett Trotter at quarterback, which I think is a good choice, even though he did have a bad game last week against Arkansas. Prior to that game, he was pretty efficient with McCaleb and Dyer out of the backfield. Auburn at home. Florida's kind of lost a little bit of steam. Teams have realized, like I said, if you can stop Demps and Rainey, especially without a quarterback back there, you can beat Florida, and Auburn has the firepower to beat those teams with Dyer and McCaleb running the ball, allow Barrett Trotter just to manage the game, make plays when he needs to. So that's my 3 pick. Now I have 2 upsets. I like Texas Tech at home to knock off Kansas State. Now maybe this is a case like the Clemson where I've picked against Clemson every week and they prove me wrong. Kansas State has proven me wrong last week beating Missouri, but Lubbock is a tough place to play. That team has, like every year, the offensive firepower to go blow for blow with any team. Kansas State has a very tough defense, but they haven't faced an attack like Texas Tech. I like Texas Tech to pull off the upset against Kansas State with a 2 confidence. Now my 1 confidence is another upset. Arizona State on the road against Oregon. Now Oregon is going to be without LaMichael James, the nation's leading runner, one of the top running backs in the nation. The game is in Autzen Stadium. That's a huge edge to Oregon, probably the best home field advantage in college football. But this Arizona State team is hungry. The path to the Pac-12 South title is going to go through Arizona State. This will be a huge step, huge momentum for Arizona State with all their seniors. This is the year Arizona State needs to make their point. I mean, they beat USC this year after 11 years. They beat Oregon State for the first time since 2007. I think Arizona State with that defense led by Vontaze Burfict. Now Burfict hasn't had quite the year. A lot of that I think has to do with he's pegged as one of those players with a temper, a hothead. Every team knows that. All the refs know that going into the game. Teams know how to play that against him. And he's kind of calmed that down to where he doesn't have those penalties. One, it's good because he doesn't penalize the team. ASU, one of the higher penalized teams in the nation. But 2, I think it kind of takes away from his aggressiveness. You see him missing tackles in the open field, getting blocked, 7 to 10 yards downfield. You've never seen that before. He needs to get back to his natural playing abilities, but try to contain himself. That Arizona State defense, they've been riddled with injuries, but somehow they've still managed to be one of the top defenses in the nation, specifically in turning the ball over. We saw that against Utah last week. This team can force turnovers. That's what they do. Those linebackers are always stripping the ball. It kind of makes up for when their offense is slow. The defense will turn the ball, get the turnovers, help their offense out. As Brock Osweiler goes, so do the Sun Devils. Oregon, even without LaMichael James, still a very good attack with Barner and DeAnthony Thomas. Darren Thomas, I know at times can be a good passer, but oftentimes it feeds off the run. Even with LaMichael James out, I mean, Arizona State's defense has to play disciplined. Don't be over aggressive. You're going to miss tackles. One quick step, those Oregon running back and playmakers are gone. If you over pursue, don't give them the outside. That's what Oregon loves. Is you give them the outside, they're gone. Contain the outside and stay in your gaps. This will be a huge win for Arizona State if they can pull it off. So those are my picks: Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State, Illinois, Michigan, North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas A&M, Auburn, and Texas Tech and Arizona State. So those are the picks for Week 7.